All right, today's video is gonna show us out and about in the great state of Montana. Kind of some, I wouldn't say unexpected weather, but not ideal weather for camping. We may or may not get stuck out here. We're not sure. You're gonna have to watch the video to find out, but I got me and two little boys out here gonna try and do a 2-day camp. What's up, dudes? Ready to have a good time?
Yeah, it's so good.
It is good. So we brought some of the bare essentials with, some of the comforts of life. What we'll be trying to do in the videos is live as primitively as possible, which is quite a challenge with two little boys. So stay tuned, see if we make it out of here. I have a feeling we might get stuck back in here. We're about a mile and a half to a mile-ish from the trailhead to drive out of here, and it's pretty aggressive. Thanks for watching, guys. The boys and I decided we're gonna go out and have a little super early spring camping session. Are you ready?
Yes.
How about you, little dude? Yeah, they were eager. We were gonna cancel because yesterday it was about 70 degrees outside, pushing 80, and today it is a balmy 31 degrees, starting to snow somewhat, been raining through the night, but they wanted to go and we thought, why not? So we packed up and hit the road and off we go. We'll see where we end up and we'll see what the night has in store. So while en route out there, a little fun trivia about Montana. Montana actually has more cows than it does human beings. The population of Montana is right around 1.1 million, and there's somewhere around just over 2 million cows in the state. So kind of gives you a little perspective of kind of where we live. And terrain features are unique out here. You'll go from kind of rolling hills like we're in now with a ton of farmland and ranch land, and you drive, you know, an hour to the west of here, you'll find yourselves in the snow right now up in the mountains. About 2 hours to the north, same thing, you're gonna end up in some snow. Now that being said, you head east and you're basically thinking you're in North Dakota just because it's fairly flat. The area we're heading into, you basically drive through a bunch of flat farmland and you end up in somewhat of badlands / timber looking area, and it's kind of a little recreation area not terribly far from us, but kind of a little perspective on the area that we're in and how diverse it can be. You know, an hour in one direction, and in Montana an hour is very close when in terms of driving. It's a unique feature about the state. We measure distance in hours rather than miles. Stay tuned, guys. We are about 25 minutes, half hour away from the destination. All right, we're about here.
Yeah.
So we're coming out of this flat land into kind of a timber drop off as you come on in. We'll see if the gates are open. You can drive down in here a pretty fair distance. It's got some 4-wheeler and 4x4 trails back in here. You can set up shop right up here too. They got the little canopy and a disgusting bathroom, but yeah, you kind of drop right off this ledge down into some pretty aggressive terrain. So I got to keep a close eye on my little cohorts. One of them's still awake and the other is out. But there's generally a handful of folks in here. I can see one person as we're walking in, but it opens up pretty big down there. You can't quite see it probably terribly good on here, but it gets pretty aggressive back in here in some spots. So you got to keep an eye on the little guys when you're out here. As far as expectations of any type of predators out here, you might run into the odd black bear, the odd mountain lion, but not super common. So that's, you know, it's a convenient spot to bring the boys out to. But it does look like we'll have some company out here. There's a handful of folks who have camp set up out here. But we're gonna drive in a ways and see if we can't find a little privacy. So just like that, you get into some nasty stuff. So if it gets too wet, there is a chance we could get stuck back in here. A couple years ago, I came out here and there was a 4x4 stuck right about here with a snapped axle, and he was not going anywhere anytime soon, and he was snowed in, but conveniently enough, it's not terribly far to walk out of here, and there's cell reception in certain spots. But there's about 6 people camping behind us, so we're gonna try and poke back in here and find ourselves a nice spot, a little privacy. But you guys can see what I'm saying. You're just driving in flat land and it opens up into this in the snap of the finger. That's right, slowly, buddy. I don't have to be anywhere until Tuesday, so if we get stuck out here, so be it. We'll find out in a minute here what it's going to look like up ahead. Not a ton of moisture yet, but whatever we get this evening could change that. But yeah, we're not going that way. That looks pretty aggressive. You want to go up that hill, bud?
What? Yes.
No, we don't want to go that way. We want to go this way. But yeah, there's a lot of mule deer out in this area. You get the occasional elk that gets lost and wanders in here, but it's a pretty nice place to take the little guys. And they got little spots like this set up where you could back in here, but there's some nasty terrain right there. I don't want to be in a spot where the boys could end up over a hill. So we're going to continue. We'll kick back on the cameras. We're setting up camp. As most of you know, that's the second worst part of this whole thing. First worst part being tearing down camp. So stay tuned, guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. If you could give us a like, share the video, toss something down in the comments, it greatly helps our channel out. And we plan on putting out a bunch of videos this summer for folks to tune in and watch and maybe learn something from us as we go on our adventures. Probably some of what not to do, more so than anything. All right, I think we found a spot that's gonna suit our needs. What do you think, man? Is this a good one?
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a panoramic. Someone left us firewood. Here's kind of what we're dealing with. And we came in from that direction. We don't have anybody within probably a half mile of us now, so we'll start setting up over here and kind of get it a little more shored up. We know more moisture's coming in. We don't know how long we'll be here, since we very well may get stuck here. Hey, do you want to help me set up?
Yeah.
You gonna make a firewood pile for me?
Yeah.
All right, can you gather up more wood?
Yeah.
All right, man. We'll show portions of the setup. Once again, this is kind of a new setup we're working with. If you've seen some of the videos before, we have the camper topper that we put together. Really budget build with this setup, guys. This is super user friendly, and we're going to kind of weed out some of the shortcomings of this thing and fix a few of the problems that we're having. So stay tuned for that. So first mistake I've made so far, I brought my smaller of my 3 tarps, and that's a forgivable mistake, but we're gonna have to get a little creative with how we're gonna modify that, or we're gonna get soaked in the truck. It's just all the water's gonna run down. You guys will see what I mean in a minute. So the area I'm in, you're allowed to chop down certain trees for certain purposes. So I'm gonna chop down a tree to use as kind of a pole in the center to get a little elevation on our tarp. You can chop down wood or gather wood for camping. You have to have a permit if you're out here just cutting wood. So we're on the up and up as far as legalities go. So we'll pick out a smaller tree. I'm thinking that this guy right here will be just fine. It's fairly straight. It's not massive, so it's not going to be a real pain in the butt to take down. So we'll knock this guy down and we'll use that to set up, and we're actually going to use some of the wood to start the fire. We're gonna get a little unique with how I'm gonna try and do some flint fires out here. It's really wet, and I kind of want to challenge myself with that and throw out a few tips on how to do that, especially in the area we're in. There's a few natural resources available that'll help us out with getting that fire rolling. So stand by, guys. Let's get this thing chopped. So the tree's down. I'm gonna clean it up, and what you can see is with this small tarp I brought, normally I have a much larger one, canvas tarp, and I'll tie it off and give us a little bit of room to work behind the truck, but I brought my little one. So problem being is it's not a great place to tie off on the truck. If you've got a good solution for that, holler at me. I figured some type of tent post or some pole would work, but this is the easiest way so far. Goal is to have the water run off the sides or slope down. If I have my big tarp, it's easier to slope down so that your water isn't running back towards the truck itself. But tied up at the top, what I'll do is cut that to length and just stick it up in the middle. I'll try and divert the water off to the sides, at least towards the truck. Back here, I don't care. So the wood isn't too wet actually right now. It will get wet probably tonight into tomorrow, but what we'll do is take some precautions, actually stick some of the firewood under the truck. I'm actually going to cut down some more too. But if our wood was wet, there's something we can look for out here. I saw some here as we were setting up. So right here, you can see that right by my finger. It's just a little bit of sap right there. You know, any of these trees out here are going to have that sap on them. Pretty much any tree produces some type of sap. But if we collect a bunch of this stuff right here and find some dry tinder or some dry fire starter, we can use that sap to start that fire off, and it's going to be a great source of fuel that's going to burn for some time, especially if you have wet wood. So if you go around and collect a bunch of that sap, which is what I'm going to do right now, we can try and start a flint fire out here. If all else fails, we brought some technology with, but kids are getting cold. We're going to get this fire rolling and start making some food. So we're going to give it a shot. We're going to collect some of this sap and we're going to get rolling with it. But you guys cold? Look at you. You're all bundled up. It's not even cold yet. It's like 32, 33 degrees. It's going to get cold. You guys want to help me get some sap for the fire? Yeah. All right. Best way to do that is just grab a stick, continuously glob that sap onto that same stick, and you basically build yourself somewhat of a torch at that point. So we're going to clean up the fire pit some, probably gather a little more firewood, but since it's dry right now, we're going to start working on that sap and get this fire rolling. So there's a ton of sap dried up in here. It's not seeping anymore. You could actually take this whole thing right here and that'd be a pretty decent chunk of fire starter, but we're gonna just look around and see what we can find. Here we go, right there. There's a bunch of it dripping and forming. So I just knocked off a chunk from right here that is just covered in that sap. That should be pretty decent. We're still gonna have to get a little bit of a flame started, but once that goes, that's gonna sit and burn for a minute, even though it's just bark, just because of that added fuel. So right here on this tree, there's actually a ton of that sap that's more dried up. That should be good material. We're gonna start pulling off just little chunks of that. And this tree is on the way out, so we're not hurting this tree. This thing is starting to rot pretty bad, and it's been abused by a bunch of campers through the years in here, it looks like. So we're not trying to hurt nature. We're just gonna borrow a little bit of this natural fire starter. How's that sound?
Good.
Think you can help me?
Yeah.
All right, dude, let's get to it. Okay, so we have piles of different levels of fire starter here. So we have somewhat of our tinder bundles. So when it's wet, what you can go do, buy these pine needles that fall down, these long pine needles. If you go find a pile of them, kind of buy some brush, in this case sagebrush. This stuff's not super thick. Something a little taller like this. You can see these top layers right here. They're going to be wet because it's been raining, but this is some good insulation. There's also big trees above us. So if we just dig down a layer and sit and dig, you'll notice the color change from that lighter color. They're going to turn into that almost rotted looking color. Reach down in there. And that stuff right there is super dry, even though it's been raining out here. So that's what we're looking to collect. It's good, good fire starter, along with the fuels we have. And then pine cones actually are a decent fuel fire starter as well. There's some of these ones are pretty old, so there's not really going to be much that sappy material in those, but also can be, like, you want to look for a lighter one like that. Those also can be decent fire starters. I am no expert, but I grew up here, so you kind of figure out things as you go. But if you guys have other tips for up in the north up here as far as fire starter, I know about everywhere you're at. Things are different for little tricks to get your fire going, but it'll be challenging today. I haven't had to start a fire in wet conditions like this with a flint in some time, and I left my good flint at home. Another thing I did in a rush. Luckily, I have two. So we're gonna try it. Let's see how it goes, guys. All right, you ready, bro? We use this flat rock as our surface, and we'll not really care about it after a while here, but what we're gonna try and do is just get a nice base around it with that dry material. Dry grass is great. Kind of a commodity right now since we've been getting moisture for the last 24 hours, but it will burn eventually here. So what I'm gonna do is actually take that grass bundle and then you just beat it up. You want to tear it up and get it frayed up. Get those fine particles frayed up. You don't want to just have just a bundle in there. If it's super dry, it'll take, but give yourself the best opportunity you can here. You're basically looking to make like a mouse nest in there. Something to catch that ember. And then underneath this balled up grass, I'm gonna stick the sap that we collected. I'm just gonna kind of add a few layers to it and mess with it. It's not a fast process, and we'll just see what it takes. You boys ready for a fire?
Yeah.
Me too. All right, so let's get some of that sappy material in there. We'll try and shoot that spark right down in there.
Take him. Take him. Two. Take him.
Sap in there to to catch that spark when we get it going in the back. I really wish we had some more dry grass. It's just not going to be perfect, but what is perfect? Nothing hardly. Let's get that glob in there. That's probably our best sap we got right there on that stick. What's up, kiddo? All right, let's try it. Look out, boys. Let me come over by you. Move on. Thanks. I'm using a spork flint, which is less than ideal, but that's what we got. And we'll get there. If I had a little bit more of that sap material, what I do is just rub it all in this grass and make it a little bit more flammable, but I was having a hell of a time finding anything dripping versus the old stuff. All right, that's progress. We just had to keep working our grass, and little by little, we're getting some embers now. Like, you really got to sit there and work that grass and break up those fibers. Make it want to start on fire, will it? There we go. There we go. All right, now we need to get our other fuel in there.
Yeah, how do you make a big fire?
And we'll have some embers that are definitely going in there. All right, our fuel's catching. You see how that sap just takes off? So that's gonna burn for a little while now, and we're gonna get some of this charcoal in there because that should start up too. I found a drier-ish piece of charcoal. I don't want to smother it, but I definitely don't want it to go out now that we've got it going. That fuel is doing its job perfectly though. All right, you can start fire with wet materials, and that actually didn't take terribly long. We're gonna keep this thing rolling and get some hot dogs rolling. So once you have it going, do not let it go out. That's the tough part. So we had a ton of fuel laying around. We were able to toss a bunch more on it. That dry wood is gonna take a while to get burning well. So what you do is just set some of your bigger pieces off to the side of your fire and let that fire start drying those pieces out for later, but just don't smother it. Once you get it going, make sure you have enough of your dry fuel to get that log to burn. But since we happen to have that material with, or that sap with us, that made life a lot easier, because that sap is just a core down there just burning away. We did it, right? We didn't give up?
Yes.
That's how we do it, right?
Yeah.
Let's go, Nux. 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 All right, well, that's one thing. We'll let this thing get cooking, and we'll scrape off a side to get some hot coals for some of the cooking that we're gonna do. We're trying to be as, you know, off the grid as you can with it. That being said, we came prepared. We got the iPad going that no one's watching, and we brought a generator. I have a little heater on order and a small power bank with some solar panels. Not the greatest weather, as you can see, for solar, unfortunately, but I think we'll toss them out. We might be able to get a little bit. I'm curious to see how that is. I'm new to solar. Let me know in the comments if you guys can still get some, you know, decent power, even with cloud cover. I'm not sure what that looks like. I know obviously the power comes from the light of the sun, but to a level it's still coming through even with some cloud cover. But yeah, we're gonna start making some food. We'll start doing some food prep. Work in progress as far as the truck goes. In the back here, we got a ton of stuff in there, so we're gonna clean it out. But like I mentioned before, if you've watched the other videos, it's a dual platform. I just pulled one side for storage right now. It's a little dark in there, sorry, I'll toss a light on later. Problem I'm having is my ceiling kind of let go. So what I ended up doing was using a spray adhesive to hold my carpet to the base layer of insulation I had up underneath. I thought extreme temperatures might affect that. It got pretty hot. Like I said, it was 80 yesterday. Now it's 31. So it clearly fell through. I have some Velcro that I'm going to mess around with and see if I can't shore it up a little bit while we're out here in the field. But It doesn't need to be perfect. It's just for me and the boys. I'm not going to win a beauty contest here or there, but these guys sure enjoy it. All right, today's kitchen. We got some ribeyes and some hot dogs. Who wants a hot dog or a steak? Who wants hot dogs?
I want hot dogs.
Hot dogs? Let me see your face. What you got on there? Gross. So we're gonna get these bad boys prepped, and these dudes are screaming for hot dogs. So we're gonna keep it simple. We got a basic kitchen going here, so I just throw a small cutting board on the tailgate here. All right, let's get a good view of that. And then I bring some of the bare essentials with. Obviously, salt, pepper, garlic salt's my go-tos. So a little bit of olive oil on there. Oh, a little chunked up in there from the cold. A little bit of olive oil on there. Get that spread out. A little binder. Yeah, man, we're gonna have hot dogs and steaks. It's gonna be good eating tonight. And we'll get we got a mixture. It's actually avocado toast seasoning, but it has like the most amazing list of things in it that I use. So it's got like your garlics, your salt, your pepper in there. And I find it's great on steak actually. So toss a little bit of that on there. All right, get out here with that. And then the tried and true, my favorite thing ever, garlic salt. And they're not picky. They'll eat about anything, but it's hard to be picky when you got a ribeye sitting in front of you, right? You want a hot dog? Okay. And for reference, I got a 2- and a 3-year-old out here with me, roughing it on our own. Mom couldn't make it because she had to work, unfortunately. And we've been planning this early spring trip for some time now, and it looked like the weather was going to be perfect for us to do it until it absolutely took a dump in temperature, dropping from 80 degrees down into the 30s within about 12 hours. It was kind of aggressive, but hey, it is what it is. And I had shut it down and we weren't going to go, but these two boys were hell-bent on getting out here, and I'm not going to say no to that. So here we are, out roughing it. So we're going to get these steaks tossed on along with some hot dogs, I guess. Those are more sought after than steak. All right, they're cold, so I'm gonna get them in the back and get it warmed up. They've been fed, but I'm gonna make some, I just heated some water up on the fire. We're gonna brew a little pour over. Gotta have coffee when you're camping, huh, boys? Hey, Knox, go stand by that fire and warm up for a second. Go stand by the fire and warm up, boys. Then I'll get you in the back and we'll get you warmed up. You're all right, you're all right. You just slipped on a rock. You just gotta look where you're going. Oh, he's pissed. Like I said, 2 and 3 years old, but teach them young, I guess. This will be fun for them when they get older. They're having some fun, I guess.
Population has Smurfs. They have no idea we even exist. I'll be like, and they'll be all like, and I'll be like, and they'll be like.
Don't mind the Smurfs movie playing in the background.
Evil little gene.
Come on, kiddo. Ooh, beautiful. So having firewood is just a son of a bitch, to say the least. It goes fast, but depending on the type of tree you're burning. So the wood that was laid out when I got here, I still have it sitting up drying. I got a bunch of it dry and I stuck it up underneath my truck. And I have some kindling down there that's going to be for starting the fire either later tonight when it goes out or for tomorrow. The coal should hold over tonight unless we really get dumped on. But the wood is drying out wonderfully. So all this stuff will be good to go very shortly. There's this big tree that someone hacked down right here. They actually used an axe to do it, so props to them, but I'm not sure why they cut it down. Not supposed to do that. Anyway, there's a bunch of branches on it that are dead, so maybe it was dying anyway, not sure, but I cut off a few of those. I did not bring a saw, which sucks. I only have my axe, so cutting down wood is not terribly hard, or processing wood is not terribly hard, but cutting into like burnable size logs, that is with an axe. A little workaround for that is just toss your longer piece up on your fire and then let the center start burning out, or one end start burning out, and then you just drag it across. So it's not that big a deal. Just like with this, I got to be careful that I don't light that up. But like I said, it's all super wet out here, so I'm not going to have a huge issue. There's no massive danger of me creating a wildfire as long as I'm safe about it. But I'm going to go out here and go look for some dead branches. I think I see a couple dead trees tipped over back that way. So we're going to venture out and drag back some more wood, and I'll try and leave some here for the next guy. But so something I wanted to do is make a basket from scratch. So I got some of the materials that I'm going to try and make it out of. The only issue I'm having is just I'm running into a problem with the type of wood I have, that I need 2 specific pieces to do a specific thing, to use nothing but purely wood. You could probably fashion some type of lashing out of some of this underlayer of bark, but I'm not going to get that crazy with it. So I'm going to use probably 2, maybe 3 pieces of paracord or 550 cord, and then just branches. What I'm going to do is try and make a little basket, so if you were to be out doing some gathering of any type, berries, whatever, mushrooms, you could stack them in there if you didn't have anything else with you. So I've wanted to make one. I'm going to give it a try and see if I'm capable of it. It's going to be hideous, I have a feeling, but it'll probably be a little project I do once the boys go down to bed. Got the kids content, watching a show, having some snacks, and I'm working on the basket. If you have the right bark, you don't necessarily need any type of cordage. I was having a hard time finding anything that was going to work. It was just too stiff. You kind of need a nice malleable, bendable bark. But as you can kind of see, we're making progress here. You basically start out with 2 big loops, mush the 2 together, and you start sewing through with your sticks after that. So when it's done, I'll show you the finished product. If I was taking my time and making it nice and perfect, I'd probably trim it down right here, but we're just gonna get something thrown together just because I wanted to give it a try. Well, it's not gonna win any beauty pageants, but it is gonna hold. So purpose behind this, obviously, like we talked about, it's just a basket to put anything in. I anticipate some type of precipitation tonight, whether it's snow or rain. And like I'd mentioned before, we need to gather all of our fire building materials and keep those dry to the best of our abilities. It's been hours now since we've had precipitation. We've got a really good stockpile of wood, but likely the fire is going to go out in the morning. If we want to start a flint fire, some type of friction fire, we got to be able to store those materials. So I'm actually going to use this basket to load up a bunch of those pine needles and pine cones, and maybe some of that bark that has all that sap on it. So I can use this to just load right up and be able to store it. And it came together good. It's the first one I've ever made, but simple. So here's the basic, sorry, the generator's kind of loud. Here's the basic solar setup now. I got one large panel that powers the power station. This will power up to 300 watts, I believe it is. So nothing crazy, but the basic stuff. So right now I'm charging up some GoPro batteries. But this is ultimately gonna get up on the top of the topper there, and I bought a cord long enough that it'll run down in, and I'm gonna have this power station just stationed down underneath the bed under a little trapdoor. And then I have another smaller unit that I use just for charging phones and things like that, but about to put that thing away. It actually was getting some juice, even though it's all overcast like it is, but I was still able to pull a little power, and it's actually still trying to charge right now. So you can see that screen on there, but it's still trying to charge as we're charging GoPro batteries. I only got 22% on this bad boy, so hopefully it hurries. If not, there is good old fossil fuels burning right there. So we do got options. I'm just trying to not use the generator as much as I can. We want to rough it out here, but gotta keep these little dudes warm, right, dude?
Yep.
Have we do any more firewood?
Yeah.
Think we can find some more?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
I found are going on fire.
Bright colors, so I don't lose them. And if I do lose them, easier to find them. All right, we batten down the hatches.
Yep.
You ready?
Yep.
Are you ready for bed?
Yep.
We're gonna turn on a little bit of a movie on the iPad. We got all of our little snacks stowed here. We do have the electric heater going in here, which I don't love. I've got a small one on order, but it is cold out right now. It is very warm in here right now. I bet you it's at least of 15, if not, oh gosh, that's not even accurate. I bet it's 30 degrees outside. And at the very least, it's probably 70 degrees in here right now. So I'm probably gonna shut that heater off, and if it gets cold, I'll just fire it up in the middle of the night.
Yep.
I got the generator running, but I just topped it off with fuel. I don't think we'll have a problem letting it run all night if we want to, but
yeah, I
really don't think we're gonna need that heater run all night. Can you guys say goodnight?
Good night.
You say goodnight?
Good night.
See you guys in the morning. And we have a white morning. How'd you sleep?
Good.
You sleep good?
Yeah.
Should we eat some food?
Yeah.
It was a little cramped. And this goddamn headliner falling in is really frustrating, but I think the fire still has a little smolder going on over there. So we're gonna hop out and we're gonna make some breakfast. You guys want scrambled eggs or do you want sausage and biscuits?
I want cake.
Cake. All right.
Cake.
We're gonna make a cake.
Me.
First things first is a cup of coffee. This sore throat of mine is gonna be a pain in the butt this morning. But we got it going. All that dry wood up under the truck was a lifesaver. I'm really glad I did that. It really didn't start snowing hard until about 5 a.m. Intermittent throughout the night. Temperature check, it's about 28 degrees. And we almost have boiling water. And then we got a nice breakfast of breakfast skillet and scrambled eggs. A little prep station here. That's what we're gonna go with. They requested steak. Who wanted steak?
Me, Dave.
You want steak? I don't know if we're gonna have steak out here in this weather. I think it's best that we just make sure we can get out of here. It gets a little aggressive on the drive out. So we'll eat some breakfast. I packed up most of everything last night, just kind of preparatory for this. So we'll try and get our way out of here, and if we can't make it, you guys are going to be in for even a longer feature film. So I'm genuinely a little concerned that we're going to get stuck out here just because of how basically the ground is not super frozen right now. So even though I'm walking on snow, I can feel dirt and mud under my feet when I walk. The ground's still holding a little bit of heat. So the aggressive trails coming in are basically just mud once they get wet, and you just get stuck back here. So in the event that does happen, we're just going to be prepared. So I am starting to dry off more wood right now, and I'm going to keep that fire going. When I leave, I'm not going to leave the fire lit. What I'll do is just beat it down and spread it out. I'll maintain a little bit of coals in there, so if we do have a problem on our way out that direction, if we can, fingers crossed, if we're able to, we'll just turn around and come back where we at least have, you know, some preparations made, some fire made, and we'll be able to wait it out. The weather's supposed to get decent by tomorrow, so we don't have a ton of resources left, but it's always important to bring more than you're ever going to use. So we can always conserve, and I can run my generator on eco mode, and I have enough in a little jerry can to get us by. We don't need to have the heater running full bore nonstop, but not a huge deal, but we very well may get stuck back here. But that's just something you got to plan for. If you're out in the elements, in a state like Montana especially, if you don't bring more than enough survival gear with you, then you've basically asked for a problem. So not super ideal, but you know, we're always up for a challenge. So we'll see what the day brings. There's no sense in hurrying right now at this point. The temperature is going to maintain. A little more snow might even give me a little more grip on the way out of here. So we're going to eat our breakfast and do a hasty cleanup, which we basically have done to this point, but we're just going to get some wood dried out as we're waiting for that breakfast to take, and then hopefully we can get our way out of here. If not, we'll see what happens. All right, it's a little soft. We're navigating our way out of here. Water's pooling up a little bit because it isn't that cold, but we got to climb our way to the top of this bad boy and see if we can slide our way out of here. Hang on, boys. Oh, we don't want to go in there. That's a bad rut.
What is that?
Ooh, shit. So we could go up that. That's an option, but we don't want to do that. This is about the trickiest spot we're going to be faced with right here. Up we go, boys. Ooh, those tires are killing it. There we go. It's a nice steep drop off over there. So you want to avoid that, obviously. Yeah, I think we're gonna make it out of here though. It's looking promising. As soon as I say that, my tires start going. This is where people get fucked at right here. Excuse my language. Okay. So the truck with a snapped axle was just up here. Either way is not really a great option right now, but straight. Oof. All right, hang on, boys. Going up the big one. We can make this one and we're home. We're good to go. Oh, no problem. Just cold enough to keep us on the road. Get a little fishy back there, but if there was more snow, it could be a problem. Or if it was about 4 degrees warmer, I think it'd be a real problem. Oh, there's a lot of snow. Oop. All right, I think we made her through the worst, boys. Oh, there's a big old piece of snow. Our neighbors left last night, it looks like. Early this morning. Now you can see their tracks. But... well, that's it, guys. We made it out. I thought it was going to be a little worse than that. We appreciate you guys watching. We look forward to sharing our next adventure with you. Say bye, dudes. Look at that guy. He's buried. Say bye.
Bye.
Peace out, guys.